guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. When you come on, let me know that you're here and we will get started for today. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. It's almost Friday, you guys. Hey, hon, how you doing? Hey, Shakita. Hope you're having a good week, sweetheart. Tell your mom I said hello. Yes, we'll give people just a few more minutes to pop on, and then we will get started for today, you guys. How many of you guys know you gotta believe it before you see it? And that's a lot of our issue. We want things, but we really truly don't believe we deserve it or believe that we can achieve it. And that's what keeps us from having those things, because your life is only going to be as big as your faith. And if you truly believe that God has something for you, the sky is the limit. Sky is the limit, you guys. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started in the interest of time. You guys, last week we talked about being a shero, which is basically a female hero, somebody that's out there doing the best that they can, trying to look out for everybody else, trying to be a light, trying to be an encourager, trying to be somebody, that other people can be inspired by, somebody that can actually be someone that is able to help someone when nobody else will. That's that shero. She goes above and beyond. She doesn't turn her head the other way when something is going on. If she's able to help, she's going to jump in there and do what she can. And we talked about, you can be your own shero. You don't have to be somebody famous. You don't have to be somebody with a lot of money. All you have to do is be a woman of integrity and have a good heart. That's all you need to be a shero, and be willing to walk out your convictions and be willing to, not always have this lip service, but put action to your words. That's what a true shero is. And so this week, we're going to talk about it's still going to happen. A lot of times we have gone through enough things in life to where, a lot of those things that we initially dreamed about or initially wanted to do, sometimes life is hard, y'all. And sometimes, things come up to detour us. Things come up and they kill our dreams sometimes. And, once you get up in your 30s, your 40s, and 50s, you can look back and see all the ideas that you had when you were in your 20s, all the ideas that you had when you're in your teens, when things were simpler, how you thought, you could move the world, there was nothing that was going to limit you. But life has a way of putting the spirit of fear inside of you, because you go through so many things and you don't want to go through that pain again. A lot of times we get fear in our heart and we give up on our dreams, and we decide, well, maybe that's not for me. But a lot of times we just take the easy way out, you guys. So life has a way with its ups and downs of robbing us from the dreams that we once had for ourselves. And sometimes you just need somebody to cheer you on, somebody to encourage you, to rethink about those dreams again. Don't be afraid. to step out on faith. And it's hard to find people that will talk to you like that. Usually people want to tell you everything that could go wrong, what might go wrong, what happened when they tried to do it. Surround yourself around people that actually believe in you, people that actually see you doing the very thing that you told them that you feel in your heart you're destined to do. A lot of times it's the people that we are around, you guys, that help to hinder us. We've got to learn to get out of our comfort zone. Stop being around people that are doing the same things year after year. Nothing ever changes with them. Of course they don't want to see you blessed. Of course they don't want to see you move on because they're not doing anything. So you have to consider that. When you're sharing your ideas and your dreams with other people, make sure that person or that group is truly for you. Because if they're truly for you, they're going to try to find ways to encourage you, to cheer you on, to tell you, hey, I know somebody you can talk to. Let's go to the bookstore. Let's read up on that. That's a true person that's in your corner. They want to see you live out your dreams because they're excited for you. There's no jealousy when somebody's truly for you. So a lot of times we call people our friends, you guys, and sometimes they're really associates. And we have to know the difference. Hey, Miss Lockridge, we have to learn the difference because you can't share. Hey, Pam, you can't share your dreams with just everybody. I said something to somebody last week about something I wanted to try to do, and instantly, out of his mouth, he started talking about, well, you sure you want to do that? You sure you want to spend money on that? You sure? Everything negative started coming out of his mouth. And I said, okay, God, I messed up. I can't share my dreams with everybody. So understand, people with limited thinking are always going to find a way to try to figure out what could go wrong. So you have to get yourself away from people that are already boxed in. You know what I'm saying? If they can't think outside of the world that they're already in, don't waste your time sharing your hopes and dreams with them because they can't see past that imaginary fence that's around them. So they sure can't see you stepping out and doing something that maybe nobody else has ever done, and especially something that you've never done. So you got to surround yourself with people that want to see you grow, with people that want to see you live up to your full potential. And that's rare, but they're out there. So we've just got to find us a new group to be around. And then sometimes you just need somebody to tell you, don't give up no matter what. When you get tired, call me. When you get frustrated, call me. I'm going to be here for you. When you can't do it anymore, call me and tell me what I can do to try to help you. Sometimes you just need support. You need a cheerleader, but then you also need support when you're trying to live out your dream because it's going to get hard. The enemy does not want you to live up to your full potential. So he's going to throw all kinds of roadblocks in your way to try to keep you from getting there and try to keep you from relying on God. So you've got to get your people in place. When you really got your mind set on doing something, it's something you've always wanted to do your whole life, get you a good cheerleader and get you a couple of good supportive people in your life that you can count on, that truly care about you. They're not envious of you. They're not trying to, worry about if you get ahead of them. Find those people in your life and get those people in place because nothing just happens by yourself. A lot of things people try to do all on their own, and that's why they fail. We're not meant to do some of these things all by ourselves. We're meant to be able to count on one another and to be able to bring other people in so that it's a collaborative effort. You'll still get the credit for it. Don't worry about that if it was your idea. But you can't always do everything by yourself. You need some people to help you get there. Okay? And then all of us could probably pretty easily think back to one or two dreams that we just let go by the wayside because life got complicated. I know I thought about it the other day. It's some things that I thought about doing when I was in my 20s and this happened, and then turn around, you get straightened out, then that happened, and before long I forgot all about wanting to do that until later on in life. But just because it's later doesn't mean it's too late. So if you still have that desire in your heart, don't let anybody talk you out of it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you don't have the finances. Nowadays, that money is out there. Those grants are out there. There's always a podcast or some type of YouTube video to show you how to do what you never knew how to do. So don't let other people limit you just because it's later. Because later does not mean that it's too late, you guys. Okay? And then for each one of us, we can remember getting excited about something in our life. And we plan to take that first step. But then something came and knocked our feet out from under us. And that's how the enemy does. He doesn't want you to get back up and try again. He wants you to stay down for a while, and then he wants you to give up on it and go to something different. And a lot of times you have to be resilient. Because the enemy's going to distract you with everything that went wrong, why you can't do it, oh, you don't have any money. He's always going to try to throw a monkey wrench in what you're trying to do. So you have to be one of those people that say, no matter what, it's still going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. God has said I was going to do this, so I know it's still going to happen. You might have to find another way of doing it. You might have to get some assistance from somebody else to get there. But the one thing you don't want to do is give up on your dreams. Don't give up on what that desire is in your heart, because you don't know who you're going to bless. You have no idea. With you walking out your dream and doing something that God put in your heart to do, a lot of times it's not even about you. It's about what you can do for other people. It's about how you're going to bless somebody else along the way. When I started this podcast, this was something that it didn't take long for me to act out on, because I heard God speak to me about doing it, and probably within 2 months, I went ahead and created the page. Then after that, maybe 6 months, God said, take it up a notch. And so I took it up a notch. I said, you know what? I got a couple of friends and we did it all together. And then God set a time where he says, okay, you did that. That's fine, but it's time to take it up another level. And then I ended up being here just me. And God started changing the content of the conversation. But it wasn't just for me. It was able to help somebody else. It was for me to encourage somebody else. So it was never just all about me. It was about me using my gifts and what talents God has given me to bless other people. And that's the same way it is with that vision that you have, that dream that you have. If it's from God, it will never just be for you. It's going to bless a lot of people along the way. That's why the enemy wants you to give up on it, because he can't afford for you to touch somebody. He can't afford for you to change somebody's heart. He can't afford for you to influence somebody to get on the right track. He doesn't want you to encourage somebody to trust in God. That's why he detours you from a lot of things. Because while you're thinking it's all about you, while you're thinking, oh, I can see me doing this, having my own business, doing this and that. If it's from God, it will never just be about you. And the enemy already knows that. Because if it was just about you, he'd let you do it. He wouldn't even get in your way. If you weren't going to influence anybody, if you weren't going to help make anybody's life better, if you weren't going to inspire somebody, he wouldn't even bother you. Not even in the least bit. Because it would be all about you, and the only person that would benefit would be you. But God has a way of doing things, and anytime that he blesses you, it is never just for you. Okay? And I don't care if the years have passed by, don't give up on yourself and don't give up on God. Because there's never a time that's too late to do the right thing. There's never a time that it's over for you to be able to encourage somebody. Those things are timeless. They're timeless. God has a way of taking what you thought couldn't be done and turn it into something much bigger. He'll turn it into much bigger than what you can think about. And you'll be surprised just how many people you touch just by doing the right thing, just by trusting God, just by allowing God to order your steps. So a lot of what the enemy tries to stop us from doing is following direction. You know, when you make up your mind that this is for you, you're going to get organized. You're going to get some plans together, and the enemy hates an organized person. He hates somebody with a plan, because people that plan, they're strategizing, and they've thought some things through. You know, a lot of times people do things just out of their emotions without thinking. That's the kind of stuff the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to act out of your emotions, act out of your bad experiences. You know, he wants you to count on those things, anything except rely on God. So understand, a lot of times it's just a distraction to keep you from fulfilling the purpose God has for your life, because that purpose is actually going to bless a lot of people more than just you. And you guys, if we would really be honest with ourselves, we gave up on some of our dreams for, one of these 7 reasons, or maybe even more than one of these 7 reasons. And this is what caused our dreams to die. The first one is laziness. A lot of times we're not willing to put in the work that it takes to make it happen. You know, a lot of times anything great that you're going to do, it's going to require some work. It's going to require some sacrifice. A lot of us don't like to give up anything. And I used to struggle with that. I used to hate having to give up something. Man, I worked hard for this. Man, I really like this. Why I got to give this up? Because God has something better for you, because you can't take that old thing to this new destination God is trying to get you to. And a lot of times we're so lazy. We don't want to do the work. We don't want to get in there and commit, and spend the time to do what we need to do. So that's one of the reasons that some of our dreams have died, just simply out of laziness. Number 2, self-doubt. A lot of times we have a good thought, we get excited about something, and then we start criticizing ourselves. We start looking at ourselves in the mirror. We're thinking, okay, we're not good enough. Oh, we're not pretty enough. Oh, we're not the right size. Oh, I'm not smart enough. Self-doubt will kill your dreams faster than anything. And then deep down, sometimes you just feel like you can't do it. But the thing that we have to remember is you don't have to do anything by yourself. God says that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So as long as you're including Christ, as long as you're asking God to walk by you and to make a way out of no way, and ask him to help you to do it, he's going to make it. He's going to make it happen. It doesn't matter what you don't know how to do. It doesn't matter how smart or how smart you think you're not. God can work with anybody that's willing to trust him. Anybody that's willing to believe that he can do exactly what he says. So you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have gone to a trade school to do something. A lot of things I do with my hands, I've never done them before. But you know what? I believe I can do it, simply because I know God is on my side, and I know God is going to show me the way to do it. And if I don't know how to do it, God is going to lead me down the path where I can talk to somebody that does know how to do it. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be teachable. And that's what happens to a lot of us. We want to be that person that's in charge all the time. Sometimes you're called to be the teacher, and sometimes you're called to be the student. And you got to know how to toggle between the both. I don't care how old you are, you have got to learn how to be a student sometimes and a teacher another time. There is no age limit on that, you guys, because that's the only way that you grow. You can't teach everything in life because you don't know everything. So a lot of times, we don't know how to go from one to the other. And it's mandatory that you know how to be a student sometimes, and you know how to be a teacher sometimes, if you really want to live out your dreams and make it in life. Number 3, another reason our dreams die is because we worry about things that have not even happened. Hey, Kinsley. A lot of times we let ourselves get all pumped up listening to the wrong people, and they'll have you doubting yourself, being afraid to step out and do things because of things they've said, those little thoughts that they put in your head. That's why you have to be careful. When you're planning to do something, especially if it's a dream of yours, sometimes you need to have a time of isolation. Because just because somebody else, hey Christia, just because somebody else can't see your vision or see what God is doing in your life, you have to understand when they can't see it, a lot of times they will criticize what you're doing. So you can't always be around people when you're in the planning stage for what you're doing. Sometimes you need a time of isolation. You need a time of just talking to God, asking God for direction. And you got to know how to do that as well. Just like you got to learn how to be a teacher and be a student at the same time and go back and forth with that. You also got to learn how to be around people and when to retreat and be in isolation so you can hear from God. You know, sometimes you got to quiet the noise sometimes so that you can hear what God is trying to tell you so he can direct your next step without you being influenced by other people telling you what they think you should do. Because you know that happens, y'all. You tell somebody about something, everybody's a freaking expert and they ain't never done it. So you have to be careful about who you listen to, even the things that you watch, you see, you listening to other people. You know, you've seen other people fail at this same thing, but that has nothing to do with you. Just because it did not work out for them does not mean it won't work out for you. So you got to get that in your head, that if God put that in your heart for you to do, hey Sandra, for you to do, stop looking at other people. Don't worry about anybody else's results but your own. And sometimes you have to get away and get quiet. You know, people won't understand you backing off, but they don't have to. If God put a dream in your heart and you've got a goal that you're trying to reach, sometimes you need to get away from other people because they're a distraction from what God is trying to do in your life. So a lot of times we end up worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. That's that spirit of fear that the enemy puts in there. He will let you see things that will scare you. He will let you hear from people that have tried to do the same thing and they tell you all their horror stories. You can't allow all of that to get in your head because you're human. You're going to start doubting. You're going to start worrying. Okay? And then number 4, another reason our dreams die is because we get easily distracted. You know, we'll focus for, I'm bad about that, y'all. And God is still working on me. I'm praying that he'll get me better year after year. I still struggle with that some. And that's why a lot of times I am to myself because I got to shut out everybody so that I can do what I know God is asking me to do or directing me to do. And I love being around people, but COVID did something for me. It taught me how to be content with my own company. And I think I've said this to you guys before. And I know COVID has done some horrible things, but the one blessing, well, maybe there's more than one blessing. You know, anything God allows to happen that's bad, somewhere in there, there's a blessing. Believe it or not. And I never would have thought I would have let that come out of my own mouth, but there were some blessings that came out of COVID. There's some tragedies. God knows there were some tragedies. I lost some people, some patients that I love, some friends that I love. But at the same time, there were some blessings that came out of it because God showed you who was for you. You know, especially, you know, when you're single. Or you know, an empty nester or whatever, you know, a lot of times people forget about you, that you need support too. You know, and with something as scary as COVID going on, it's amazing how many people won't check on you. And it's amazing, you know, how many people won't even call and see if you needed it, especially when we were, you know, kind of locked down for a little bit. People don't even call and see if you need anything. It was every man for himself. And so that opened my eyes to a lot of things, and that opened my eyes to what God said about, you know, putting your trust in him. Don't put your trust in man. You can love man, but expect people to be people. They're going to take care of themselves first. They're going to look out for themselves first. But God is the only one that you can trust and 100% believe in, that he's going to be there. He's going to provide for you. He's going to protect you. He's going to take care of you. So COVID taught me that, and COVID taught me how to bob and weave between being in crowds of people, which I don't even like big crowds anymore, being in crowds of people and being by myself. And a lot of times I like being by myself more because it seems like I'm more at peace, because I'm learning who I am. And a lot of times we don't know who we are because we're always around people. And that's what COVID did for me. He removed me from people outside of working to the point where I had to get to know who I was. I had to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And all of that was there. And I had to realize, Karen, you got some issues you need to take care of. Karen, you got some strong points here. Karen, you really need to work on this. But he gave me time to focus on me. He gave me time to work on me. And that work is still a progress. But I used to worry about things that hadn't even happened yet. And I remember, you guys, when COVID first hit, and I thought about it as I was walking through my front door today. I joined this Facebook group. It was called the Red Door. I can't remember. It was like the Red Door door group. I'll just say it like that, but it has another name. But basically, when COVID hit, this group was formed on Facebook to where, believers came together and they prayed. And what we all did is we all went out and bought a ribbon or something red, and we put it over our doorpost. Because just like the time in the Bible when they put the blood over the doorpost so that the plague would pass them and that they wouldn't be destroyed. And my ribbon is still up there. And that's been 3 years now. Today was the anniversary that I put that ribbon up. And I was like, you know what, God, you did just what you said. I know this was a ribbon that I put up, but it wasn't about the ribbon. It was about the faith that was behind it. And that ribbon was just to remind me to not be afraid, not worry about things that have not happened. Don't be afraid of what you hear. Don't be afraid of what you see. So a lot of that has gotten better for me simply because I stepped out in faith and I believed that God would take care of me and God would take care of my household. So a lot of times we worry about things that haven't even happened yet, and that will kill our dreams. That'll keep us from stepping out and seeing what's really out there and seeing what's next, because you're always wanting to be safe all the time. You're always afraid you're going to fail all the time. Failure is part of life. Failure is good for you sometimes, because you fail, either you're going to stay down, and that's your choice, or you're going to get up and you're going to find a better way to do it the next time. So you learn from your failures. That's what helps us grow. So we've got to stop worrying about things that haven't even happened yet, you guys. Relationship-wise, God is still working on me. Simply because of what I've already gone through in my marriages and all this and the other, I had a spirit of fear that's saying, if it didn't work the last time, I'm kind of scared to do it again. But God said, whose report do you believe? All those things in your head, all those things from your past that said, oh, well, it didn't work the last time, this, that, and the other. He said, this is not that. You have to quit comparing your yesterday to your today. And that was the word for me. I was comparing my yesterday to today, and therefore I've been afraid to get in a serious relationship simply because of what I've gone through in my past. But God is still working on me, because I don't want that to kill my dream of one day having the man of God that God has prepared for me. So that's something I'm working on in my own personal life. And I know I'm not the only one that has gone through that, but we've got to stop being afraid of things that did not happen. We've got to try to make better choices. First of all, the difference is between me now, hey Valerie, between me now and me then when I was going through all of that, I finally know who I am. When you learn who you are, and like I say, COVID gave me time to be by myself, and I had to face a lot of ugly stuff. And I had to see all that stuff I haven't been healed from. And I had to get honest with myself and decide, is this how you want to live the rest of your life? Or do you truly want to get better? You've got to make that decision. And when you say you truly want to get better, baby, you better buckle up and get ready, because God is finna start purging some stuff off of you. He finna start showing you where you was wrong, showing you where you need to change, showing you where you need to make better decisions, showing you where you were disobedient. All of that. He gonna show it all to you. You gonna cry. You ain't gonna know what to do with yourself. But it's all to purge you and help you to understand. When you know yourself, you have a better chance of making a better decision. And sometimes that's the problem. We haven't been to ourselves. We've always been around people. We've always listened to other people's opinions and believe what other people said. Sometimes God needs you by yourself so you can hear from the one that really knows what's going on. Because we don't know. We just speculating. We just talking from, as they say, talking out the top of our heads, at the side of our neck, all of that stuff we say. But we truly don't know. God is the only one that truly knows what's really going on. So we've got to stop worrying about things that haven't happened yet, and we've got to stop being easily distracted. Make up your mind, make a commitment, set aside the time. And sometimes we set our goals too big. That's why we're easily distracted. Because sometimes all you can see is that all the way down the road, and God may be just wanting you to do those first 3 steps and stay there at that step. You know, we see the top of the staircase, our goal is up there, but you may not be ready to go up all those steps. You may not be mature enough to go up all those steps. Sometimes God just wants you to go on that first step and be still and get quiet and listen and be obedient at that bottom step. And then when you've mastered that step, then He's going to take you to the next step. So a lot of times our issue is, and why we fail and why we get distracted, is because we're trying to get ahead of God. We see the goal, we try to hurry up and get there. Nobody has patience. Everybody wants it now. Because everybody tries to lie to you and tell you if you don't do things by a certain age, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, you're going to be too old for this, yada, yada, yada. Quit listening to other people. That's been our problem the whole time. We allow society to tell us how to live our life. Our life don't belong to them. Our life belongs to God. So we need to listen to the person who formed us, the person that has our destiny in His hand. And He's the person that said He has the plans for us. It's in Jeremiah. He said before He formed us in our parents' belly, in our mother's belly, He already foreknew us. He already had plans for us. So we need to trust the one that's got the blueprint and quit trying to listen to everybody out here on TV and on social media. They don't know what they're doing. They just playing it by ear and trying to do whatever's popular, whatever will get the most buzz, whatever will make the most money. They don't have your best interest at heart. And that's why you have to go to the master plan He has for your life, because it's to help you. It's not to harm you. And He's got an expected end for you. And therefore, you gotta focus on what God wants for your life and not what everybody else says you should do, or looking and trying to compete with everybody else. So be careful about getting easily distracted, because it will cause your dream to die. Because you can get distracted and come back to something, then next time you're going to stay a little bit longer. Next time you're going to stay a little bit longer. And before you know, hey Rita, before you know it, you done forgot all about what you were trying to do. So you've got to make up your mind that that's what you want to do, and you've got to do it in God's timing, and you've got to take it one step at a time and quit trying to run ahead of God because you want to hurry up and get where you're trying to go. That's why we end up falling back down, is because we're not ready. Just because you want something does not mean that you're ready for it. And God had to show me that about me. It was a lot of things I wanted. I was not ready for most of it. And so now I've learned to tell God, whatever your will is for my life, help me to be content. I know I say I want this, but if it's going to take me a while to get there, show me how to enjoy the journey. Show me how to enjoy getting there, and help me to stop worrying about how I'm going to get there. We waste so much time trying to worry about the how and the why and all of that. And God just wants you to enjoy where you are right now. Enjoy where you are. Last year, I dare say we are all in a better place as women and men. We're better. But if we're always focusing on way ahead of us, you're not even enjoying the growth that you've had from 2022 to 2023. Have you patted yourself on the back for how you've grown over these last few years, just since Sister I Got You got started? Most of us can say we're better. We're still struggling with some stuff, but it's not as hard as it used to be. And that's what we need to be celebrating instead of worrying about where we should be. Celebrate where you are right now, because I dare say you're probably in a better position than you were last year. So we've got to learn to enjoy the journey so that we won't get distracted. And number 5, another reason our dreams don't make it is because we're not truly committed. You know, we say we want something, but as soon as it gets hard or as soon as something better comes along, we drop it like a bad habit. We're all guilty. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. Guilty as charged. Hey, Tasha, I'm guilty as charged. Because a lot of times I'll have my mind set on something and I'll get it started, get distracted, get tired, and sometimes I'll just let it go by the wayside. And then I look back years later and said, I should have finished that. I should have done that. You know, there's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas that come with us when we don't fully commit to something, because you're going to look back later with regret and wishing you'd have just went ahead and did it when you did it. Okay? And then number 6, another reason our dreams die is because most of the time we're not willing to ask for help. We're too prideful. You know you're struggling with something. You're trying to do something. You're trying to change your life. But you're too prideful. You don't want nobody to know your business. You know, people just messy. No, the people you deal with is messy. Change your group. Change your circle. If you think people can't be trusted, for some reason your circle has caused you to think that. So that's God telling you, if you can't find nobody in your circle that's truly for you, or nobody in your circle that you can go to at a time of need, you need to change the people that you're hanging around. Because God is trying to show you that is not your tribe. Those are not your people. Because you should be able to go to anybody in your circle and say, hey, look, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm struggling with this, blah, 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 blah. And not hear it on the streets. I'm just saying, if you got to worry about somebody backstabbing you and putting your business out there, that's your circle. Change it. You have the right to change your circle. Change it and get some people in your life that you can actually trust. Some people that you can actually rely on. That way, when you start something, you don't feel like you're doing it by yourself. You know you got the support that you need. I said earlier, when you start to do something and start heading towards your dream, you got to have a cheerleader and you got to have a support system. Those two things are mandatory. And a lot of times, especially in the Black community, I can only talk about my own race because that's what I am. We are not good at supporting one another. We are not good at cheering one another on. We're not good at patting somebody on the back and telling them, you know, I see you're trying. I appreciate what you're doing. You know, you're doing so much better than you were last year. But oh my God, let them slip up. Let them fail. That's all you're going to hear people talk about. And it's sad but true. I've experienced that even in my own life. And then all you could think about is if I had a helping hand, if I had somebody that was on my side, I probably could have got that done. I probably could have got it done. But we've got to learn to support and love each other more and stop being jealous of one another. And you've got to stop dealing with people that won't be there for you. Stop that. If you can't reach out for some help when you need it, and I'm not talking about somebody reaching out for a handout or this, that, and the other. I'm definitely not talking about that. I'm talking about reaching out for that support that you need so that you can accomplish your dreams and do something great in your life. Change your circle if you don't have that with the people you're dealing with right now. Number 7, another reason our dreams die is because we don't pray about it. And we don't ask God for direction. We try to do everything in this flesh. We got the master plan. Oh, we talking it out, this, that, and the other. Then when things start going awry, we give up. Because we were trying to do it within ourselves so we could take all the credit for it anyway. And that's why it didn't come to pass. But those are the things that are causing us to let our dreams die and just fall by the wayside. And whether you identify with all 7, Cool. I can identify with all seven because I was there with all of those and a bunch of different instances. But somewhere in there, you recognize yourself and realize, yeah, that's what it was. That's why I didn't finish doing this. That's why I didn't do that. That's why I never, blah, blah, blah. Because you fell off. And we all do. And there's no shame in it. Call it what it is. We all fall off sometimes, but we don't have to stay off. If it's something you feel like you really need to do, get back up again and try it again. And then sometimes God will allow us to go through some difficulties before he allows us to get to our goals. And he does that to see where your heart is, because he wants to know, what are you going to do with it when you get it? A lot of times he's doing a heart check on you. If I let her have this, what is she going to do? Is she going to decide that this is her God? Is she going to make an idol out of this thing? God is very jealous. So he's not going to bless you with something that he knows you're going to worship more than him. So understand, he is a jealous God. So he is checking your heart. He is checking to see if you will seek him, if you will look for him, if you will come to him and ask for his help, and then if you'll serve him with whatever he allows to happen in your life. There's nothing in your life that you have, nothing in your life that you could dream of, that there's not an area where you can serve God. There's always something that you can do for God in whatever you're trying to do in your life. Okay? And then he wants to check your commitment level and wants to know, how bad do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? So a lot of times God will let us go through some difficulties just to see where we are. As they say, just to check your temperature to see if you really all about it or if you're just doing lip service, which a lot of us do. And it's time for us to stop making excuses about why our dreams didn't happen and start stepping up, making up our mind. If it's still something you want to do, get in there and just do it and stop explaining away why you didn't do it before. That's in the past. That's not going to help you now. No time for excuses. If you want to do it, there is always a way to get it done. God is a way maker. If you really want to do it, you call on his name and say, God, help me to do it, and you follow his direction through it, God is going to bring it to pass. And then all things are possible, God says, to those who believe. And you do live at the level of your belief. What you believe for your life is where you're living at right now. Somewhere in your life, you only believe for where you are right now. That's why you're living at the level you are now. And that's not a bad thing. But ask yourself, is this all there is? Is there not more that I should want out of my life? You will live at the level of your belief. So if you don't believe there's nothing better for your life, you're content where you are, cool. But most of us know that there's something bigger, there's something better, but you're going to have faith to be able to get there. So you will live at the level of your belief. So we've got to start believing for bigger in our lives. And when you believe that, you have to believe you deserve it. A lot of times we're just so hard on ourselves, and we look at ourselves and we look at ourselves as broken. Yes, we've all been broken, but guess what? The potter is putting us all back together again. So you don't stay broken unless you want to. You have to decide, am I going to allow whatever happened to me to leave me broken on the floor? Or am I going to allow the potter to get on his potting wheel and put me back together again? You have to decide. That's why I titled this, It Will Come to Pass, because no matter what you've gone through in your past, I don't care how bad it is, the potter can put you back together again. But you have to be willing to say to yourself, I know that happened to me, but guess what? It's still going to happen. Because God is able to do anything but fail, you guys. But you will not live past the level that you believe. So you've got to believe for bigger, and then you will be able to live bigger. And when we worry is just the opposite of faith. Faith in reverse is worry. And, we all do it. We're human, and a lot of times I get frustrated with myself, and I'm like, I know better. Why am I letting this bother me? Why am I letting this stress me? Because you're human. You are in this fleshly body. Things are going to bother you. Things are going to worry you. But what do you do when you worry? Is the question I'm asking. So when you get worried about something, what do you do? What is your go-to when you get worried? How do you respond when you worry? That's what's going to matter. God knows that we are not like him, to where that we can see things happening in front of us and it doesn't bother us. We can not be nervous about something when we feel like there may be a danger coming to our lives. We're going to worry because we're not God. And he understands that. He forgives our worry, but he wants us to come to him when we do worry. That's your rock. That's your source. It's what you do when the worry comes that matters, because the worry's going to come. I don't care how spiritual you say you are. I don't care how mature you say you are. Something is going to come in your life. You're going to get nervous about it, and you're going to worry. You're going to stress over it. You might even get a little anxiety or depression over it. That is normal. That is called being a human being. But it's what you do after the worry comes that matters. That's the key. What do you do when that worry comes? Do you go to God? Do you go to other people? Do you go to alcohol? Do you go to drugs? What are you doing when you worry? Do you immediately, want something to numb the pain? Or are you willing to go to God and say, God, if I got to go through this, help me through this. God, help me to understand that there's a blessing on the other side of this. Nothing in my life happens just to be happening. There's a reason everything happens to each and every one of us. We may not like what's happening to us, but God definitely has a plan for it, whatever it is. So worry is just faith in reverse, you guys. So worry's going to come. Don't beat yourself up about that. But start making a habit of going to God when that worry comes. Go to his word. Talk to God. Cry to God and tell him what's bothering you before you go to anybody else, before you go to any type of pacifier, I'm going to call it. Some people, they go shopping and stuff when they're stressed out and stuff. You ain't got to go there. Go to the rock. Go to God and let God know what's bothering you and ask God to help you get through it. And we have to come to a point in our lives where we can look in the mirror, and despite everything going on around us, despite what everybody has to say about you, about your situation, about where you didn't come from, what you don't have, how you don't look, all this stuff, you're going to have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, without a doubt, it's still going to happen. Because you've got to tune all that excess stuff out, because other people's opinions don't mean anything. So you've got to believe that for yourself. And don't quit on your dreams just because ops have come into your life. Ops are those things that come to attack your dreams. Those ops and dreams come hand in hand. You can't have a dream without having some ops coming in your life. And that's why you feel so fulfilled when you actually reach your dreams, because you probably went through hell or high water to try to get there. And a lot of times that's why people, when they finally get to their destination, they finally get that degree, finally get married, finally, get that house, that car, get to retire, get that promotion, they just break down crying because they're overwhelmed. And they're overwhelmed because nobody understands the journey that it took to get there. You have to understand, those things don't just happen overnight. It takes a journey. You got to climb those steps to get to things like that. And people don't understand your story. They don't know what it took for you to get here. And that's why people are so overwhelmed, and sometimes they can't even speak for being so full, simply because they know what they had to go through. So don't quit because the ops show up in your life, because they're supposed to, because they're there to make you strong. Okay? The first op that's going to show up as soon as you make up your mind, you want to follow your dream, or you want to do something different than what you're doing, you want to do something great with your life, the first op is going to be opposition. Opposition, that's that resistance. That's that pressure that you're going to get. That's those people arguing with you about what you're trying to do. Those are those things that are going to come against you every step of the way. You'll take 2 steps forward and you feel like you take 2 or 3 steps back because you keep hitting brick walls sometimes, or you keep hitting resistance sometimes, because the enemy don't want you to move forward. So you got to understand, opposition and your dream go hand in hand. So you might as well get your mind made up. Some ops are going to come in your life. I'm going to have some opposition to whatever I'm trying to do, especially if it's something for God or something that's going to make your life better or something that's going to bless somebody else. Baby, you better believe opposition is going to come. You better believe it's coming. But you've got to decide, either you're a soldier or you're not. If you're not going to be a soldier and you're trying to do something big, you might as well go sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else. You can't be weak to try to make it in this life. You can't be weak if you want to reach your goals in life. If you want to do something that nobody else in your family has done, you want to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, do something that nobody in your community has done, you're going to have some opposition, and you have to not walk around with your feelings on your shoulders, crying every time somebody makes a comment, crying because people don't believe in you, crying because people won't support you. No, ma'am. Ops are supposed to be there, because that's how you learn what you're made of. You learn what you're made of by opposition. And so it comes with you trying to live out your dream. So expect it and prepare yourself for it. Prepare yourself for it. Number 2, the second op that's going to come anytime you're trying to do something good, anytime you're trying to do something better than where you are, opinions. That's that op that's coming. Folks in their mouth. Folks in their opinion. Opinion don't mean nothing. Okay, that's just what you say. God don't do no opinions. God tells the truth. Everybody else has an opinion. So you have to watch out for people, because they have a view or judgment that's formed about something. And it's not necessarily even based on fact. It's on their experience, their knowledge, of what has happened to them in their past, or what they've seen happen to other people. That's why you can't give people's opinions so much weight, because they're not based on facts, you guys. Everybody's got an opinion about something. And as soon as you try to do something you share with somebody, everybody got something to say. But they're not trying to do anything with their lives. So understand, you're going to have to be ready for people's opinions, and you're going to have to learn how to hear that and not let it get inside here. That's why you got to know that God is on your side, and make up your mind about stuff. When you do that, people can be talking and they're going to sound like blah, 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 blah. And you'd be like, I hear that all the time. Because once I've made up my mind to do something, go ahead and say what you got to say. I'm not going to be rude. Go ahead. Give me your opinion. But it's not going to get inside of here. I'm not going to receive that. Because if that's not what God told me, then that is your opinion. Now, it's different if you're confirming something that God has already told me. I've had people say, Karen, God showed me this about you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yep, that's it. But all that other stuff that's opposite and people's opinion, a lot of times people throw out their opinion to try to sway you and get you to do things the way they think you ought to do it. So you got to be careful with listening to other people's opinion. And then sometimes, you guys, our opinion of ourselves is what hinders us the most. We are so hard on ourselves because of the mistakes we made in our past. I've said this over and over again, and I have to keep saying it just to remind me to forgive me. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for all the mistakes that you made, and realize that you ain't through making mistakes. You're going to make some more mistakes. So why don't you forgive yourself for those, because you got some more you finna make. And just recognize that that's just part of life. Nobody gets this thing right. Nobody that's ever walked this earth outside of Jesus has gotten this thing right. So understand, we've got to stop being so hard on ourselves, and we've got to stop hindering our own progress with what we think about ourselves because of past mistakes, and comparing ourselves to other people and looking around in everybody's yard. I don't have this. They got this. I'm doing the same thing they're doing. Why are they prospering? Blah, 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 blah. Why is she married? I'm not married. Ain't nobody got time for that. Everything that you're supposed to have, if you line up with God's word, if you trust in God, if you allow God in your life and put God in your plans, he's going to bring it to pass. So don't worry about what you did wrong in your past. God has already forgiven you for those things. You need to learn how to forgive yourself. And so don't count yourself out because of the mistakes you made. Don't count yourself out because of bad choices. You know, I want to use one example, you guys. And ladies, this is for y'all. And men, y'all are probably going through this too. Ladies, have you ever stayed loyal to somebody too long? Especially in a relationship. You know that booger was not for you. But you don't let your feelings get caught up. But God is just showing you off in your spirit. You feeling it in your spirit that that man is not for you. But because you lust after him, something about him is something that you like. He do something that you like. And you tie all your loyalties up for years in a person that really don't even mean you any good. In a person that is never going to be as loyal to you as you are to them. That's what God had to show me about my life. How I was loyal to people that weren't loyal to me. And how I spent years being loyal to those people. Even after God was trying to tell me to cut those people loose. Get out of this relationship. Let that go. That is not for you. They are not your friends. They are not going to support you. You know, God will show you those things and let you feel those things in your spirit. And sometimes we just got this override button. Because it ain't what we want to do, because we don't want to let them go, we'll hit the override button and that things will get quiet in your spirit for a while. And then later on, it'll bubble up again. This ain't for you. Let those people go. They don't mean you no good. He ain't good for you. He ain't loyal to you. He don't love you. But we'll hit that override button over and over again. And God is not going to push nothing on you. When he's trying to show you that somebody's not good for you, or that situation's not good for you, or those friends are not good for you, he'll come to you. He'll just keep coming back. But you push him away, he'll go away for a while. And then he'll come back again and see if you're ready to receive. You hit that button again, he'd go away again. And I went through that a lot in my adult life of hearing God and feeling God saying, this is not for you. These people don't love you. You being too loyal to people that you should have just spent a little bit of time with and let them go on their way. But I'm trying to do life with people that ain't trying to do life with me. So that was my word on making choices of being loyal to people. God had to talk to me about that, because a lot of times I don't understand why people treat you the way they do. It's because they not really for you. You're not supposed to be with those people long term. That's why it does not work out. It's not always about a flaw in you, or you don't look this way, or somebody's better than you. Sometimes it's just a matter of you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. And God wants you to be loyal to him and stop being loyal to people. But that was just my personal rant on that, you guys, because when I was writing this, God quickened that in my spirit. Tell them about what I had to show you. Because somebody out there going through the same thing. You got that loyal spirit about yourself. When you love hard. You don't want to let go of people. You try to be faithful to people. God said, y'all got to stop all of that. See people for who they are. See people's spirits for what they are. And when I'm showing you something that's not right for you, be obedient and move away from it. You'll thank me later. Because you will save yourself a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of heartache, and a lot of tears. If you just listen to God when he's trying to show you things about people, and stop worrying about how it's going to look if you walk away, or how it's going to look, or you're not going to have so-and-so, this group of friends, if you walk away from them. You got to be willing to give all that up to have your peace and have what God truly intends for you and for your life. And then also, don't allow missed opportunities to dangle over your head. We've all been in the wrong place at the wrong time and not been in our position. And we've all missed some great opportunities in our life. Some people, they grab on immediately, but some of us, we're distracted. Some of us, we got so much going on in our lives. And some of us, we're just immature. and we just weren't ready. And those opportunities came and passed us by because you were not the one, because you didn't know how to appreciate, what was right in front of you or what God was trying to show you in the direction he was trying to get you to go. So a lot of times we have those missed opportunities, and it seems like the enemy likes to dangle that in your head. See, when you were so-and-so, you should have done that. It was right there. They came to you and blah, blah, blah. You weren't ready. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Okay. You can't go back and undo what you did in the past. If you missed it, you missed it. All you can do is go to God and say, you know what, Lord, I'm sorry that I was not where I needed to be. I'm sorry that my focus was all over the place. I'm sorry that I didn't trust you when you were sending such and such my way. I see it now, because God will let you see later what you missed. He really will. So sometimes you just have to say, God, I missed those opportunities. I'm sorry. Please give me another chance. Please prepare me for whatever you have for me. Please get me in the right place at the right time to meet the right people that you intend to come into my life for whatever purpose you have for my life. You can't worry about what happened in the past. You can't worry about what you didn't do. You can't worry about the mistakes that you made. And you can't worry about who you were loyal to that you didn't need to be loyal to. We just got to make better decisions now. And the first decision is including God in everything that you do and asking God to help you, because you truly can't do it all by yourself. Okay? And then the third op that's going to come in your life is going to be oppressors. Oppressors are going to come anytime you're trying to do something good, anytime you're trying to do something big, something different. There's always going to be a person or a group, that has a little bit of authority, that may be where you're trying to go. Some people are jealous like that. They see you trying to live a better life. Sometimes they won't even reach out a helping hand. They see you trying. They see you are focused. They see you putting in the work. But because they don't want you at the level where they are, they'll find ways to sabotage what you're doing if they can, if they have the ability to do it, because they don't want to see you get to their level. They don't want to see you surpass them. So there's always going to be those oppressors. A lot of times, on these jobs and stuff, there are people, co-workers that are jealous of you. There are supervisors that are jealous of you. And, they try to do little nitpicky things, especially when you're a good worker and when you keep to yourself and when you're focused and when you get a lot of praises, from other people, and other people start noticing you. Sometimes these supervisors get nervous. They're thinking you're going to take their job, or these co-workers, don't want you to end up making more money, than they make, and they don't want you looking better than them simply because you might be actually doing your job and they know they're slacking or they're half-stepping, and they don't want all the attention to be on you because they're scared that you're going to make them have to raise their standard a little bit. So understand there's always going to be oppressors that are going to try to make it hard for you to get to where you're trying to go. And you got to be prepared for that. And you got to understand, just like God says, if he be for you, he's more than the world is against you. He's talking about those oppressors. Sometimes it's the world that's against you. Sometimes it's all about the color of your skin. People will try to stop you from getting to a certain level simply because of the color of your skin. They can't see that person with that colored skin in that position. So they're going to try to find everything they can to keep you from getting where you're trying to go. Sometimes they don't want to see a woman in that position. They don't want to see you doing certain things. They don't want you to outdo them because they may be a man, or vice versa. They don't want to see you level up. They don't want to see you surpass them. And then sometimes, people have opinions of what you can do at a certain age. And when they see you start coming up, doing things, as you get older, you're doing things that younger people won't even do. You're doing things with excellence. You're doing things, in a way that makes the younger generation look bad. Sometimes you're going to be oppressed just because they feel like, well, you're too old to be trying to do that. No, you're never too old. Like I said before, it's never too late to do anything in your life you want to do. So understand there are people with opinions of what you should do at a certain age and what you shouldn't, but don't let those people stop you from reaching your goals. And then some of it is economic. Some people, because they got money, they look down on you and they don't think you should be in certain positions. They don't think you should be able to run in the same circles with them, this, that, and the other. So there's a lot of oppression out there. And then some people even have to deal with, keeping their religion a secret. Certain groups, don't deal with certain religions, or they have a low opinion of certain religious groups. So those are the oppressors that we have to deal with in life, and a lot of times, there's nothing you can do about your race, your sex, and I don't even want to talk about all these operations. We ain't even going there. Your age, those things you can't do anything about. So don't allow people to look down on you just because they have issues. That's not your issue. If you got a problem with my race, that's not my problem. If you got a problem with what sex I am, that is not my problem. If you got a problem with me doing certain things at a certain age, that is not my problem. Because I don't have time to worry about what you think about me. I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to do what's going to make my life better. And that's the mindset you have to have. No matter how they come at you with their attacks and with roadblocks in your way, you just have to remind yourself it's still going to happen, because it's not too late. As long as you've got blood running in your veins, it's not too late. And oppressors are those people that treat other people unfairly, and try to prevent them from having opportunities and freedom. And there's sometimes, you guys, in certain situations, there's just nothing else you can do. But when you can, you need to keep pressing forward and don't allow people to try to stop you simply because they have issues. And then the fourth op is obstacles. Obstacles are those things that get in your way and try to hinder your progress. And sometimes we are our own obstacles, you guys. And like I say, sometimes we got those bad habits. Sometimes we care too much about what people think. We listen to the wrong people all the time. Sometimes we put the obstacles in our own way. Sometimes we just make bad choices. We like the familiar instead of trying to do something different, or trying to learn and trying to read a book and discover how to do something right. We want to half step and half do stuff to get it done quicker. So sometimes we're the problem. Sometimes we're our own opposition. Sometimes we're our own obstacles, you guys. And then number 5, the fifth op is opponents. You're always going to have opponents when you try to do something. There's always going to be somebody trying to compete with you, especially if you're doing something good, especially if you're making a difference, especially if it's getting your attention, or if it's influencing somebody or making you look good. Somebody's always going to want a piece of that. Somebody always thinks they can do it better than you. But guess what? They can try. But nobody can do it like you do it. And you have to have that in your mind. Let them try. Let them compete with you. I'm learning in life, stand back and let people do what they do. If you want to compete with me, you go right ahead. Because honestly, I'm not paying no attention to you. I don't have time to compete with you. The only person that Karen competes with is Karen. I got to be a better Karen than I was in 2022. That's my job this year, is to be better than I was last year. I got to change my thinking on some things. I got to move in a different way. I got to stop allowing people to try to pull me back and hold me back just because they're comfortable with where I was. That doesn't mean that's where I'm going to stay. So I'm through living for everybody else. I'm going to move forward the way I need to move forward so that I can have the things in life that I know I'm supposed to have, so I can reach the goals that I know I'm supposed to reach. So you have to understand that competitors are always going to come anytime you're trying to reach your goal. So you get your mind ready for that. And you got to learn how to ignore some things. Don't get your feelings hurt because somebody's trying to do the same thing that you're doing. Don't get your feelings hurt because people, stop talking to you because they see you doing something well. That may be God just making some room for some better people to come in your life. You've got to understand some people don't want to do anything until they see you doing it. Then they want to jump on the bandwagon and they want to try to find a better way to do it. That's normal. People have been doing that since the beginning of time. That's that rivalry, that jealousy. There's nothing you can do about that. You just have to be responsible for how you respond to it and how you carry yourself. Okay? And when you succeed, there's always people watching. So understand, imitators are everywhere. And there's nothing you can do about it. They say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Okay. But I say, do your own thing. Get your own thing. Don't worry about me. Don't try to do what I'm doing. Because what God has for me is just for me. And to whom much is given, much is required. Because it's not easy to do anything that I do, that I'm doing in my life. It requires work. It requires preparation. It's a big responsibility, because with great blessing comes great responsibility. And a lot of times people that try to compete with you think something is easy, and they'll get out there and try to get a lot of buzz going and try to do what you do, and then they fall off by the wayside because they realize, oh, this is hard. Yeah, it's hard. To whom much is given, much is required. So understand that. So a lot of times those people watching you, trying to compete with you, they have no idea what it takes to be you. That's why you can't bother looking at them. Don't give them that attention. Encourage them to do whatever they got to do, boo, but don't let it throw you off your game. And then my final thought, you guys, is no matter what ops come in your life or try to come against you, like I said, what God has for you is going to be just for you. God only made one you, and nobody can truly replace you or do it like you do. So speak over yourself, chase after your dreams, all those things you left behind. If you still have a desire in your heart, begin to believe in yourself again. Begin to believe in God again. And remember, no matter how much time has already passed by, you have to make up in your mind that I'm still going to do it. No matter what. If it's something that you really want to do, don't let anybody stand in your way, because you have to decide that it's still going to happen. And once you decide, and once you put your commitment behind it, and once you allow God to be a part of your process, get back and wait for it to happen. It will come to pass. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. I am so thirsty. Guys, we are moving forward with our Talk About It Thursdays. I'm going to try to do another cooking segment with Kinsley. I'm putting you on blast, Kinsley. We got to do another cooking segment. I can't wait for us to do that and just come together and just do some fun stuff on the page. If you guys have ideas of things you want to see on Sister I Got You, hit me up in my inbox. I'm always open to suggestions. Any type of podcast y'all want to do. I've got this one gentleman I've talked to about helping me with a kind of like a roundtable discussion. That's going to come up in the future, where we're going to talk about real things that real people, go through, and hear other people's point of view. So, don't sleep on Sister I Got You. We've got some good things coming. And I thank you guys so much for your support. I love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Be safe. Stay COVID free. And keep your head up. Start dreaming again. Start believing in yourself again. Whatever God has put in your heart, it can come to pass, but it starts. It starts with you. You're going to live at the level of your belief. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching, and God bless.